Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome to another session on the annual PMO Leader Conference, the fourth conference. Apologies, everyone. Some network issues to start the session off. That's not a great way to get going, is it? But hopefully we'll be fine from here on in. But yeah, welcome to the session. Welcome to another session in the EMEA track of the fourth annual PMO Leader Conference, the 2024 conference.
Seems there's another network issue.
Oh, apologies. Bear with me. I'm hoping I'll be back on stage in a moment. Can you hear me, Peter?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to carry on then.
No, I cannot hear you.
Let me get my bit over and done with then, Peter. It sounds like I've got an unstable network connection. Then we'll hand over to you and hopefully no more issues. So yeah, apologies for that, everyone. Technical issues confounding us right at the start of the session, but not for long, hopefully. So for today, got a couple more fantastic sessions lined up before we close and fully hand over to the Americas region. And the session we are going to be running now is with Peter, who you can see on screen, Peter Bohan-Meecock, who's going to be talking to us around managing sustainable and business-driven. Hello, I'm guessing you probably didn't hear what I was saying there, but I think without further ado, Peter, I'm going to hand over to you because obviously my network is unstable. So Peter, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, I will hand over to you to kick off your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Before we start the presentation, can I ask you to start our poll? And while it is running, yeah, it's running. Great. So while it is running, let me start with this. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. And good night to those who will fall asleep during my presentation. So our poll is about how many full-time employees does your PMO have? I really would like to see some results, although maybe we do not have too many people, but well, let's get back to it later on. So let me share my screen and let me start my presentation. Where can I share my screen? Okay. This one. Okay. Right. You can see my presentation. Okay. Before I start this presentation, let me assure you that there will be nothing new in my presentation. I'm sure you will face some things and some familiar things, and you will see that you've seen it, you've heard it, you've known it, or you've experienced it. So as Jane mentioned, my presentation will be about managing sustainable and business-driven success in the PMO. Beneath the surface, over the horizon. Nice long title for a presentation. So as we are a bit short of time, hope you don't mind if I skip the first few slides. Yes, this is me. You can download the presentation in PDF, so you can read that out. And let's start with something that you are very familiar with. So in recent years, everybody is speaking about that the PMO is a service provider. The PMO is providing services to its customers, and the needs, requirements, or feedbacks are coming back from the customers to the PMO to tune the services, right? You all know this. And I do not want to talk about this part in the presentation too much, but let's just state it here. Ultimately, PMO people are laser focused on its customers. But what about the customers? The organization where the PMO operates has its boundaries, and within these boundaries, you can find many business units. It's like several shops in a mall. Yeah, like this. You know these interactive maps at the malls, right? So customer can look up a shop, the PMO, and easily by using that map, that search function. But what if a customer needs the service? In an organization, it can easily happen that the business unit can offer the same or similar services than the PMO. For example, professional development can be done by the HR or the PMO as well. Sure, if the needed service is very specific, it can narrow down the search. But yeah, like this. But let me just put here two possible answers for this last metaphorical question, which is where can I buy the best running shoes? Answers can be at the Nike store, which means it's not the Adidas, or, oh, you know, there's a shop next to the mall. Let's try that one. So it's outside of the organization. Either way, what we can see is a lot of different types of competitors. It can be within the organization or outside of the organization. Based on the customer's point of view, their needs and specifications, competitors appear like mushrooms after the rain. Sure, yeah, you can use some simple strategies like taking over services, for example, acquiring all project managers within the organization, so no other shoe shop is in the mall, or expanding into uncharted territories. Typical example is change management. So Adidas offers the same as you can find in the store next to the mall, which is kind of eliminating external competitors. Although I use the word competitors, as you could see in this example, these parties can be understood as substitutes as well. And although usually the PMO is the new business unit in an organization, new entrants in the organizations or even outside can appear anytime. Sounds familiar? So as we are looking around our PMO, we could understand the environment where it is embedded based on general approaches such as Porter 5 forces, like in the middle section of this figure. Although an organization's environment can be separated to some layers like internal, direct external, or overall external for better description, in case of business units, we cannot really make this distinction, and we can observe these right at the doorstep or even within the business unit. So it's kind of mixed all over the PMO. I talked about the competitive forces. Let's look at the organizational factors. I would like to highlight only two things. The first one is the culture. Everybody talks about it, but how often do we put effort in understanding it? Especially power dynamics can be crucial when dealing with other players. The other item in the mix I would like to mention is the board. They are the source of the direction of the organization. Although mid and even top level managers' thoughts stop at the C level, whenever a step crosses the line of the strategy, the board comes in. While political, economical, and all other factors you can see at the top are represented all around the PMO as well. And don't deceive ourselves, these could have as much force as any other item in the list. So we talked about competitors and forces which are pushing the PMO to different directions. Can we call them enemies? But are they the only players? Well, of course not. Let me use a very simple categorization. Foes, friends, and food. Okay, maybe the landscape is a bit more complex. The department can be customer and competitor of the PMO at the same time, foe and food as well. Or, for example, the PMI provides guides, promotes project management. They are friends for sure, right? But wait, the local chapter launched their mentoring program, which is similar to our PMO service. So they are foes as well. Anyway, when talking about players, it's good to take in consideration all stakeholders, not only your valued customers, who might even wear a different hat in different situations. But what can you do to deal with stakeholders? No, I will give you some commonplace. Choose your strategy. Okay, but jokes apart, you need a strategy. I don't and I can't get deeper in it, as every situation is unique. The tools, techniques, mindset, approaches, frameworks, and whatsoever differ every time. The only thing I would say as an advice is to take in consideration the competitive advantage and the core competence whenever you are dealing with strategy. So, what you need? Well, a lot of things. Let me give you some examples or breakdowns. To reach your customers and beat the competition, marketing is essential. For marketing, you could use from marketing mix to customer behavior, many different frameworks and tools. As we are within the organization, especially for customer behavior, deep knowledge of the organizational culture could be very useful. Branding and influencing are important areas as well, and there can be many more. But there's a catch. To do these, you need money. To get money, you need to do these. Why? Because the organization's budget is fixed. Money is a scarcity. Business units are fighting for budget. So here's another aspect of competition. Ray. Well, that's why focusing on customer might not be enough. The PMO needs to build up its image, create its identity, not only against competitors or towards clients, but to all stakeholders, and by learning from all stakeholders. When employees or management think about the PMO, their perception can be based on the services, but the branding can add a lot as well, externally as well. For example, maybe I don't know much about Ontario Power Generation, but as a job seeker, I might know that their PMO won the PMO North America Awards last year, and I'd like to work with them. And well, you can see a lot of things which look like functions. So these are tool techniques, methods, and whatsoever. So to me, the positive and negative forces, players, a PMO should apply a strategy, and that could be broken down into functions, bunch of functions, functional areas, like finance and accounting, marketing and branding, sales and external relations. I talked about this, business and internal and external analysis. You could see some on the previous slide. Supply chain management, we'll touch it a bit later on. Human resource development and management, we slightly touched it when I talked about external branding. There are many, many more. Sounds like a business, a company, right? So let's get back to the services. Are you familiar with this figure? Kinda, right? When a PMO execute or provide a service, it's like this. Discover what is needed, create it, then do it. If needed, develop it. By the way, this is based on the updated PMO wiring, so you might know it otherwise, but in most cases, it's something like this when talking about a service within a PMO. So we have this process or line of action. And meanwhile, the PMO staff do marketing for the service, customer management for the service. You know, these were mentioned at the beginning, feedbacks, needs, etc. Budgeting, resource allocation is needed as well. When the change and risk management are needed as well, and many more stuffs like administrative tasks. So that is a service of a PMO. Now let's see what it means for the whole PMO. So we have the service with all of its parts as mentioned, but that is only one service. We have several services, right? And if you remember what was discussed a few minutes ago, you know what should be added if we are talking about the whole PMO. Yes, those functions, function groups, or functional areas. Here they come. They are the same. I just added one more administration as it is loved by everyone. One might argue that there's marketing on service level. Why is it needed on PMO level? It is based on what was mentioned previously and what wasn't, as I didn't talk about the PMO providing service to the customer topic, where the sole service marketing is dealing with the customer and only with the customer for that specific service. The PMO marketing deals with all stakeholders and all services and more the whole business unit. It's like when a company has marketing for its product separately, but they have a marketing teams to support the whole business. But what does this mean if we adapt? There are many different roles, even within a single service. Each role needs different competencies. What's more, it can happen that a service is provided on a certain level to one customer and on another level to another customer, which adds to the complexity of roles and competencies. We are talking about hundreds of roles and competency setups. And all you have is a small PMO team. You need resources. Yeah, relatively small PMO team. I don't know if you can see the poll results. Can we have poll results? Less than 10. Yeah, you see, relatively small PMO team. So you need resources to reach the needed mix. Not only material resources, but money, human resources, and time as resource as well, or plan as resource. Let's check this from another angle. Ideally, that's how the service looks like over time. See, the maturity level is increasing over time till it reaches the top level and it stays there. But at a given time, based on the needs, the required level of service look like this. The maturity level of the service is different per department, business unit, customer. Combining all of the services is provided on different levels for different customers at a given time. The maturity of each increase over time, or it should, or not? Well, the need of service can change over time. As it can be seen here, the need of service A was high, then as time went by, it went down a bit, then it went up, then it wasn't needed at all. But that is the need. What about the actual given service? Let's assume these two diagrams show the same two services. Even the need for the service A was high at the beginning, the PMO couldn't start it at the top level. It needed to be built up to develop the service. And when it was not needed, it needed time to completely eliminate it. With different service levels and fluctuating needs, what can a PMO do regarding the mentioned resource issue? Well, here are some tips. There could be many more. These are just some. If there are services which are concurring in case of resources, one might be eliminated for the sake of other. It can be done even gradually. What do I mean? For example, project coaching is a service provided for other business units, but on different levels. Naturally, every unit expects that their service level will increase, but the PMO can push one unit service to reach higher level if that means lower resource need. If in the example after a certain level of maturity, the actual unit might be able to self-manage project coaching and only guidance is needed from the PMO, not actual coaching. As a result, the PMO can reserve resource, which is time which should be spent on project coaching. But for these customer needs should be well managed. As many businesses outsource some functional areas or production phases or service parts, a PMO can do the same. This outsource might mean out of PMO, but within the organization, or even out of the organization. For example, if developing and maintaining a PM system was too much for the PMO, it could outsource these tasks to the IT department or an IT supplier. Collaboration, should I explain, for example, creating a development plan for employees with the HR department, developing needs. It's the reverse, what was discussed, which might be pretty interesting for some of us. What if you have all what's needed for a service and you know it's something useful, beneficial, but there was no need for it yet, such as, let's say, change management. You could use your management toolbox and develop the need. Similarly, as it happened with the iPhone and the smartphone industry. All in all, when you consider the external environment and the internal parts, not only at a given time, but also on a timeline, needs can be predicted and action can be pre-planned. Thus, the PMO could step forward from a reactive requirement-based service provider to proactive version. Basically, if a PMO could act as a business, it not only could envision, but shape its future. And well, PMO provides its services for the sake of the organization. The Friedman doctrine is widely accepted and used as well, criticized, which is the goal of the organization is profit maximization. Based on it, many organizations are looking for actual fast money. Fast might not mean now, but within 2 or 5 or 10 years, depends on the investment and the return time frame, etc. I assume you heard about the triple bottom line, right? There are countless reasons to focus on all three. And if you think through, they can interchange the profit as well. So to avoid confusion, let me rewrite this Friedman doctrine. The goal of the organization is benefit realization over time. So what does it do with PMOs? Well, as the PMOs can be considered new, flexible, and adaptable units, they can lead the transition from the old understanding to the new one by utilizing the triple bottom line, and where this triple bottom line is taken care by the whole organization. Even if the PMO isn't the flag bearer in the organization, every business unit should contribute to it and keep it in focus. Well, and I should end here with some great advice, summary, or something like that by finishing it like, so that's how your PMO can sustain and evolve into the future. But, well, there's no silver bullet. Although we should acknowledge that there are unspoken things that are seen as given or which are in our peripheries. Seeing the big picture is great. Seeing the bigger picture is even better. Well, and I would like to thank you for your attention.
Hey, Peter, thank you very much. That was a really fascinating presentation, and definitely some of what you were saying really resonated with me around kind of that service portfolio that the PMO should be offering and how the needs kind of change over time. It's something I've kind of heard a lot of clients I've worked with have been moving towards that kind of model with the PMO in recent years. And apologies again for my network issues at the start. So we have got a few minutes, not very long before we break and then go into the next session. I don't think we do have any questions in the chat at the moment, though. So unless anyone wants to pop any last minute questions in, I would suggest probably we just finish a couple of minutes early and give people a chance if they haven't to either go and get a coffee, go and look at the sponsor booths, or do some networking before we go into the final EMEA session or across to any of the Americas sessions. So yeah, thank you again, Peter, so much. Really fascinating, interesting session. Thank you everyone for joining, and yeah, hope to see you in the next session shortly.
Sure. Thank you very much. See you.
Thank